Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something really fun. We are going to vividly deconstruct exactly how first class service feels. We hear about luxury travel literally all the time, but what's the actual tangible difference when you finally cross that threshold? Well, today we're following traveler Eric Struck as he upgrades to Delta First Class. We're going to track his journey step by step to see exactly how an airline engineers this unforgettable experience before the plane even leaves the tarmac. It's like a masterclass in how physical environments and curated details completely rewrite your brain's baseline for what travel should actually feel like.
So we're going to kick things off with a pretty dramatic realization straight from our source material. I can never go back to economy. This exact psychological shift is what we're unpacking today. This isn't just a casual comment about, getting a slightly wider chair. It's a profound realization that your entire baseline for travel has just been permanently altered. When a service is so deeply impactful that it literally ruins the standard way of doing things for you, that's when you know you're looking at top-tier hospitality. But how does an airline actually pull off that kind of mind shift? Well, it turns out it's this incredibly careful blend of environment, anticipation, and sensory design.
All right, setting the stage with part one, America's #1 airline.
To truly understand this profound shift, we really have to establish our baseline by looking at the airline's reputation. We're talking about Delta here, which is widely touted as the #1 airline in all of America. And listen, when a company holds that coveted spot, you aren't just paying to get from point A to point B. You are paying for a promise of perfection. The psychological shift of flying first class starts right here, with the sheer expectation of prestige. You walk through those airport doors already anticipating this frictionless, elevated experience, because the legacy of that top ranking precedes the actual flight itself.
And this perfectly sets up a classic expectation versus reality situation. On one hand, you have these towering expectations, reviews claiming fantastic service, amazing stuff, and passengers literally calling it the best airline ever. But does it actually hold up? To find out, you got to put that hype to the ultimate test and book the ticket. It's one thing to read about fantastic service online, right? But it's another thing entirely to measure it against reality. We want to know if the lived experience matches the soaring rhetoric of those reviews, and if that hefty price tag truly translates into a transformative feeling.
Moving right along to part two, the private lounge experience. Now, the journey begins long before you ever scan your boarding pass at the gate. The absolute first perk you get is immediate exclusive access to the private lounge. And guys, this is a crucial physical and psychological threshold. Just think about the standard airport experience for a second. It's chaotic, it's loud, it's stressful, people are rushing in every possible direction. The architecture of a private lounge is specifically designed to counteract all of that. The moment you are granted exclusive access and cross into the lounge, it's like your cortisol levels just drop. The travel anxiety completely evaporates. You're no longer part of the frantic herd in the main terminal. You've been isolated in the sanctuary of calm. That feeling of being a priority, of being completely shielded from the chaos, is the absolute foundation of how first-class service feels. Let's dig into part three, tasting first-class luxury. Now, what really elevates this experience from simply exclusive to purely luxurious is the culinary shock waiting inside. Seriously, forget those stale grab-and-go airport sandwiches that cost way too much for what they actually are. We are talking about a truly fresh, abundant breakfast bread. Imagine walking up to hot eggs, savory sausages, perfectly crisp hash browns, and beautifully prepared fresh fruit. By providing this high-quality, massive meal in a space where food is, let's be honest, notoriously mediocre, the airline immediately signals that your nourishment and comfort are paramount. It completely flips the dynamic from just surviving your travel day to actively indulging in it. And there is a massive visual weight to this luxury, too. I absolutely love this highly relatable, hilarious moment where the sheer decadence of the snack display makes you feel broke just looking at it. But this is a deliberate, meticulously planned part of how first class feels. It is designed to be visually overwhelming. The presentation of the food and the snacks is crafted to exude premium quality and high value, creating an atmosphere of pure exclusivity. When the environment looks this expensive, your brain subconsciously elevates its perception of the entire brand. But as we all know, aesthetics mean absolutely nothing if the quality isn't there to back it up. Beautiful presentation can only carry an experience so far. Yet, beyond that initial sticker shock, the actual verdict was that the taste was absolutely unreal. This is the precise moment the first-class feeling is fully solidified. It's when the visual promise of luxury perfectly aligns with the actual sensory experience. The airline didn't just create an illusion of wealth and comfort. They backed the whole thing up with a tangible, delicious reality, cementing that permanent shift in expectations.
Which brings us to our final stage, part 4, leaving economy behind forever. So let's look at this timeline, because the journey from the ground to the air builds step by step. First, you savor the final bites of that unreal meal. Then, you reluctantly leave the quiet sanctuary of the private lounge. Next, you transition back through the noise of the main terminal to make your way to the gate. And finally, you get on board the plane. Each one of these steps represents a distinct transition from the curated, luxurious ground experience to the highly anticipated main event up in the air. The stark contrast between the peaceful lounge and the bustling gate area really only serves to remind you of the exclusive bubble you've just been living in. Now, our source narrative actually ends on a brilliant cliffhanger right as boarding begins, directing viewers to check out the rest of the journey on his YouTube channel. But it leaves us with one incredibly fascinating question. Think about it. If just the pre-flight lounge experience, with its private access, fresh breakfast, and expensive-looking snacks, is enough to make someone swear off economy forever, what on earth happens when you actually sit in that first-class seat up in the air? It's a huge testament to the power of exceptional service. So what do you think? Does the flight itself actually live up to the lounge? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning how the experiences around us